Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Jeremie, and today I'll be walking you through how to use the ESP+C chart. Today's video will focus on how to use this chart, which can be found in the Grade 10 Historical Thinking Tools and Analysis Strategies document, which is part of the Passport to Social Studies. Content from our examples will come from Grade 10, Unit 2, particularly focusing on the Enlightenment, and I will demonstrate how you can use this chart to help students categorize historical information. So before we begin, let's actually look at the chart. It's fairly simple. It does have 4 categories that students will have to use to actually organize their thoughts. So one will be economic, the second will be social, the next one will be political, and then the fourth one is the cultural, the C. So this chart helps students not only categorize information and important historical changes, but it also helps them to start thinking in broader concepts and broader themes. So these 4 broad categories will help students really try to not only place what they're either reading or learning, but it's going to help them create a general narrative and understanding of the past. The first row is pretty versatile. You can actually use it in many different ways. You can, and I'm going to show you a couple examples of how you could use and change this first row to fit whatever activity you're using or documents you're using, or even to adapt it to your lessons and your students' needs. I do suggest, however, that before you dive into using the chart with the students, that you brainstorm what these categories may mean. The students might not be exactly clear, well, what does economic look like? So you may wish to do what themes or historical information would go into each of these categories. And some questions you might want to ask: what does economic look like? What does social mean? What does political mean? What does cultural mean? And the students could come up with a lot of different aspects. Here are some examples that could work as well. And none of this is just the only answer. Your class may come up with a broad range of responses, and that could go to your class understanding of these categories. So here are a couple examples of how you could use this chart. In example 1, you can have students organize large chunks of information into these 4 broad categories. Perchance you want to use this as a studying or a periodization kind of tool, and you could look at a particular region, or you could look at a particular nation or empire and see, well, how has economics and social, political, or culture changed over time? So this is one way that you could use the chart. A second way that you could use the chart is for document analysis. You could do one document or several documents for this as well. And another way that you can actually extend the document or topic analysis with this chart is to then add an evaluation component. Have students reflect on what they now have categorized. And you could actually create that third column and make it a wrap up or a reflection question. So let's actually go back to example 2. And example 2, I mentioned doing a document analysis. And I really wanted to walk you through how this could work, because the other ones may seem easier to do, but the document analysis is actually one of the best ways to get students thinking about a document in multiple perspectives. So before we go into it, I do want to say that we're going to use the content from grade 10, unit 2. You may wish to go to that lesson. It will be unit 2, day 4. And you could actually look at everything that I will be talking about right now in that lesson. And you can find that on TeachHub. So the document that you will find on TeachHub for this lesson is Immanuel Kant's What is Enlightenment? What I suggest, if you're giving students the document, you might want to give them a key up top just so that they remember how to annotate their text. By annotating the text, they will start the process of thinking about the document in this ESP+C concept. So as they read through, you may wish to do this with them, or you may have them do it on their own and go over it with them. But I like the idea of highlighting and showing your thinking, oh, this example is social because it's talking about how people work with each other, the indecision and guidance. And I believe this is why this was social. And if you go further into it, you could talk about, well, this is why I believe it's economic. This is why I believe, because of the tax collector and payment and the political. And we have our cultural here as well, and we have more political. I would go through this process with the students. I would tell them, this is why I have highlighted and annotated the text in this manner. And what this will do, it will help the students see that the text is multifaceted. It has many different parts to it. And then I would lead them to going to the actual chart. So now that they have annotated their text, they're going to use their annotations to put it into the text itself. I would ask them to refer back to their annotations and then put what they have seen and what they annotated into this chart. So here are some model responses written in blue, and it takes directly from the highlighted annotations from the text. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you do use this chart. It is really a great way to get students thinking about broader categories and forming that historical narrative. And hope to see you next time.